¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Over 2 million. That is the number of ICE arrests that have taken place since October of 2008. Under the current administration, ICE has become a true American nightmare, nothing less than an attempt to institutionalize racism against one of our most vulnerable communities. As a response, CHIRLA has activated the Los Angeles County Rates Rapid Response Network and is actively empowering communities around Los Angeles. How can you be a supportive ally? And if you're undocumented, what can you do in case of an encounter with ICE? To shine some light on the matter, we have Jessica Huerta, the Community Education Coordinator for CHIRLA. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. As Edgar mentioned, my name is Jessica Huerta, and we do provide at the Community Education Department trainings on Know Your Rights, especially on this matter and in this situation, how the community needs our support. And we are in the field making sure that our families are protected and making sure that they know their rights, and we are there to protect them as well.
Yeah, so we've had an episode on the migrant exodus that took place. Now we had separation of families taking place at the border, but also now we want to talk about the raids that are happening in our communities. We've noticed that has been happening, now with President Trump, with his tweets saying that he's going to come after all the immigrants. What is CHIRLA doing at the moment? You said it's educating the community, but how is it that you're doing it? Do you go to schools, the community centers, or how is it that you educate the community?
As right now, we do with our reach, within our reach, to making sure that they're protected or they have the information, providing trainings either in churches, community centers, any kind of group that gather to protect their own community and to making sure that they have the information in case of an emergency. As right now, we want them to know that under the Constitution, anyone living in the United States, the nation of the freedom, the nation of the opportunity, has the power and has the rights. So we want to highlight that all the time, regardless of whether they have documents, whether you're DACA, whether you're a citizen, whether you're undocumented, they are part of this nation, and we have rights.
Everybody,
That's
exactly.
good to know. That's really good to know. How do people contact you and have CHIRLA do some outreach in their community?
Right now, we have a speak request form online. If they wanted to get more trainings and information about Know Your Rights, they can go to our website, CHIRLA.org, and on the resources, they're going to find a speaker request form and fill it out, send it to us either by email or fax. All the information is in the flyer or in the form. And once we get that information, we're making sure to contact them back and follow up with any particular training or workshop that they request.
and you go everywhere, right? I understand that you have some team members all the way in Orange County as well.
Yes, we're fortunate enough to have, as right now, 2 members, field workers, coordinators in South Orange County and some of the north part of Orange County, so they can contact them either through us, and then we can just forward that information to them that request is being requested, and from there, they can follow up in person or by phone to making sure to schedule a workshop or training for them.
Does CHIRLA charge for these services?
Fortunately enough, all those services, especially community education training, are free of cost. We always welcome donations for sure. because those services are available for the community. And if by any means they want to become either members or supporters, that those resources are back to the community to teach them, to educate them, to empower a community about their rights, especially in this situation.
Yeah, also I know that you hosted as well at the central office in LA through the legal consultations. Before they get to see a lawyer or an advisor, they get to listen to you or one of your team members to talk about what their rights are.
Yes, once the people come to our doors, we want to make sure that they leave the office with some information, whether it's on Know Your Rights, whether on healthcare, whether it's information about housing or workers' rights. We want to make sure that they leave the office with some tools and information that they can provide in their community. So during the wait that they have during triage, which is the consultation days on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so one of our staff member is going to be always there to give information about any particular issue or matter that is pertaining to our community.
Thank you so much for sharing that information. It really sounds like CHIRLA and all of the departments work together to make all this possible. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be right back with more information.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Welcome back. We are here talking with Jessica Huerta from CHIRLA, and we're discussing the Know Your Rights and what you can do to be prepared in case of an ICE raid, in case you had an encounter with ICE. So Jessica, you were mentioning that you share with the community, with your team, a lot of information to the whole organization, to the whole community. So what do you see right now as the climate, what is happening right now in California and the whole country?
Yes, for the last couple of weeks, we have seen an increased hotline calls, and those calls has to do with Know Your Rights, to making sure that they know what they do. And the interesting part and something that we wanted to highlight is that we have seen people that is feeling empowered by having the information and feeling proactive that they have a plan. So once they call us, we tell them basic information, especially about their constitutional rights, that they have the right to remain silent, they have the right to look for an attorney when they have an encounter with immigration, and also that they have a plan within their family. What is the procedure they have to do, or what are the documents they have to collect? So we go basically a really summary of what they need to do. So that's so important for us for them to know that not only they have the tools available on our website, but they have someone they potentially go to their community to provide that information as well.
So you brought up the hotline. Can you tell us a little bit more about the hotline and who is eligible to call and why they would be calling?
Yes, our hotline is the heart of our organization, because that way they can contact us and we can assess how is the situation, what are the things that, the trends that are worrying the community. So in that sense, we find out things that they're concerned about. In this case, the continuous attacks of this administration to our community has increased the number of calls in regards to Know Your Rights. So, and other issues as well, there are people who feel threatened by living in a community where it's either certain populations and they feel threatened by their landlord. So that's another increase that we have seen. So we want to ensure that they know their rights as well. So in that sense, we providing that information through our hotline.
Can people outside of California use this hotline?
Yes, definitely. We also have a database that we try to refer or direct other members of the community. For example, from Michigan, we try to locate an organization local to their areas that they can contact and get involved. Because unfortunately, CHIRLA is not all over the country. We hope. Yes, we hope we at some point there is a chapter, satellite office everywhere, but unfortunately we're not at that point. But we want to make sure that once they contact us, they have a referral available for them close to their area.
Mm-hmm. So I want to bring it back to the knowing your rights, especially during this time. We've had previous episodes where we talk about knowing your rights, but can we just highlight them again? What are the rights, basic rights that people have regardless of citizenship or not? Yes,
it's important that in this case, this basic information, whether you have interaction or immigration come to your house, or you're having interaction on the street, or you have immigration at your workplace, those are the basic steps you have to follow. You can remain silent. Mm-hmm. You have the opportunity to look for an attorney and make a call to someone of any relative to activate the alarm, basically to tell them that you can collect the information. And also in that sense, we can making sure that they have their information, contact with an attorney in advance. That's that recommendation we are emphasizing a lot, to contact the immigration attorney beforehand. Beforehand is so important because that way they already coordinated a plan, they have discussed who's gonna be in charge of the family, especially if there's minors in that family, who's gonna be the responsible in that sense, and also trying to making sure that they are aware or signing a caregiver affidavit for someone who is going to be taking care of their family, of their loved ones. So that's also an important tool to have, or information to have, once any particular family member will happen to be detained.
So number one is, if ICE were to come to your door, do not open the door. Make sure that if they have a document, that they slide on the door, and whatever document it is, that it's signed by a judge. That has to be signed by a judge, and they don't have to open the door. And also, one thing that you mentioned that I think is very important is that they have the opportunity to seek for, they should seek for an attorney. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like in the movies that we see that they're like, oh, the government is going to give me a lawyer. Unfortunately, it's not the case here.
No, it's not the case. We have to clarify that, because under the criminal law or the criminal court, the government is entitled to provide a public defender. Under the immigration court, they're not obligated to provide the resource. So that individual who's detained or looking for to remain in the country has to look for an attorney. And that's so important that they still have the opportunity, but it has to be from them, looking, because that government is not going to provide the public defender in this case. So they have to do it on their own.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Welcome back to CHIRLA TV. We were just talking during the break about the increase in arrests that are taking place. You mentioned community arrest. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that, what it means? What is a community arrest? Because I understand that it's when ICE comes to your house or job or something of that sort?
We consider community arrest because of the presence of ICE in our community. So threaten our community, whether it's a house, on the street, or any workplace, that is a community arrest, because then it's attacking our community, is threatening our community. As right now, we have seen an increase of those community arrests in our communities for that reason.
So you keep mentioning we've seen an increase. What area specifically has this increase been happening in?
In the area of LA County, San Bernardino County, Kern County, and San Diego. So those are eminent numbers that has where we've seen more presence of ICE, and that's why we consider it as a community arrest, because they are targeting particular communities, and at some point there is a collateral damage, and that's something that we have to be cautious with this administration, because this administration is having one particular target, but it doesn't really say that how it's going to be treating the collateral damage. You know, if someone has happened to be in that location or in the house, and they're not looking specifically for that particular person, so then that person could be detained, and that person needs to know their rights as well.
So how can they be prepared? You mentioned knowing your rights, and you have some materials right here with you. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yes, of course. You know, a couple of years ago, at CHIRLA, since this administration, this new video or short film, America 2, is a tool that we've been using for the last couple of years. And this film basically, you know, talks about a family who has a family member that got detained on the street. And now this process of how you handle the situation once the family member is in detention center. So we have a video in the past where, you know, they have a scenario of, you know, ICE visiting your house, ICE visiting your workplace, or even on the street. So now we want to make sure that our family or community know what to do in case the family member is already in detention center.
So while you were describing the movie, you also talked about family plan.
Yes.
And how the movie shows you what documents you should have. Can you discuss a little bit of what kind of documents a family plan is consisted of?
Yes, you know, within our training, we emphasize that individual needs to be proactive. You know, you receive that information, you know that you are making sure that you have all the tools necessary, but also the next step is to collect documents, either your passport from all members, you know, especially minors, and then information, birth certificates, marriage certificates, if that individual had been already detained, also information about the detention, any particular document that speaks about it. So also those documents could be ideal, and including that caregiver affidavit as well.
And I can attest to that. I actually have all my documents in one backpack, and I call me exagerado, but I have my high school diploma, I have my college diploma, I have all of my passports, the expired ones and my new one. I have everything, like my old, even from my old places where I used to live, I have one copy of my old, yeah, everything. I have it all. And it actually, it's very helpful because not too long ago we had an earthquake here in LA.
Exactly. So that's part of your toolkit, you know,
Yeah.
your tools that are ready to go, because you have to be proactive. You have to be, you know, prepared. And this is something I'm going to say it in Spanish, you know. Esta información es esencial para que las familias estén preparadas y que no tengan miedo. La mayoría de la gente que tiene miedo es porque no tiene la información. Entonces nos tenemos que asegurar que la familia está preparada, que las familias tienen organizaciones a quien contactar, y tengan en cuenta que CHIRLA está con ustedes. CHIRLA está en la lucha y en la defensa de los derechos de los inmigrantes en todo el país.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?
Welcome back. Today we have Jessica joining us. We're almost done with our conversation, but I saw that you brought the movie, but I also saw that you brought something else. Can you talk about that little card in your hand?
Your little tarjetita.
I know, this is the red card, and also the Know Your Rights card. You know, that is something that is given to anyone, you know, who feels that it's not secure, especially when the interaction with officer in general. So this is the right for you to remain silent. You know, you're basically saying that you have the right to remain silent, that you don't desire to speak with that particular person, and you just wanted to have, you know, call either a lawyer or someone else to respond to that particular interaction. So this is what we share in our workshops.
So everybody who comes to a CHIRLA offices or one of the workshops or a membership meeting or anything, any event that CHIRLA hosts, they can grab one of these cards completely free of cost, and it essentially tells everything that there is to know, the right to remain silent, everything that you mentioned, and at the same time, what else can we do?
Yeah, for example, when we have this workshop, so we tell them either, if you don't know how to interact, just hand this to the officer. if you're more vocal, of course you have the right to say it by yourself. But if you don't want to deal with it, just hand this. If you don't go to our office for any reason, maybe the distance, you can find this as well in our website, CHIRLA.org, and download it and spread within your family members.
So you had mentioned that it applies to any officer. So this could be a police officer, an ICE agent, right?
Yes.
So this is just not for undocumented people. This is for the whole community. Even if you're an ally and you're stopped, you can use this card. I also see that it has a blank line under. What is the blank line for?
This is just for them to know, probably they don't know by heart the numbers, the phone number for the attorney, so they can have it handy here. Just like give it more information that, this is the card and I want to make sure to talk to my lawyer.
So walk me through the process. In case I do want to present this to an officer, what does it look like? So I've just been pulled over and I don't want to talk to the officer. How does it work?
It's really interesting, especially it goes case by case, and how, individuals feel comfortable handling the situation. So in that case, you can say, I rather hand this, and you probably just actively saying, this is what I want to practice right now. Or you can say, I have the right to remain silent and hand this as well. Either don't say anything and hand this, because that way any future or any next step acting or behavior from the either officer or immigration is against the law, because you already practiced the right to remain silent, and any other procedure could be against them.
So thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate all the information that you share with us, the Know Your Rights card, knowing to visit CHIRLA.org, and also the America 2 short video. So thank you so much for sharing that information with us. Make sure to always go on CHIRLA.org to find out more information, anything that you need to know. Also, if you want to be part of the LA County, if you want to be part of the Los Angeles Rates Rapid Response Network, it is a mouthful, make sure to contact CHIRLA so that you can participate, be an active ally, and keep an eye out for your friends and family. Thank you so much, and I believe that's all the time we have today for CHIRLA TV.
¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos? ¿Quiénes somos?